2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV Review. Pros. Strong candidate for best-looking SUV available for sale. Refreshingly sporty driving experience. Powerful engines and low weight. Generous standard equipment, big boot. Stands out of your German crowd. Cons. Firm ride, especially on petrol models. Limited range of engine, trim and options. Key rivals still preferable to drive. Interior quality not premium enough. Lacks the most recent gadget choice. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio may be the first SUV within the Italian carmaker's 100-year history. It's in accordance with the same platform and technology as being the Alfa Romeo Giulia saloon, and yes, it aims to take both style and also a sporty driving experience towards the mid-size premium SUV segment. As such, its clear targets are rivals such because Porsche Macan, Jaguar F-Pace, BMW X3 and X4 and Audi Q5, though prospective buyers might also consider the Mercedes-Benz GLC and Lexus NX. The name Stelvio derives from the highest alpine pass in Italy, a road famed due to the numerous hairpin corners, which challenge and reward keen drivers. The majority of Stelvio models use Alfa's Q4 all-wheel drive system, although lower specification models feature rear-wheel drive. Powerful engines but limited choice from launch. The Stelvio is accessible with only 2 engines and 3 standard trim levels, the entry-level Stelvio, as well as Stelvio Super and Stelvio Speciale. For a small period the lineup's topped because of the Stelvio Milano Edizione. All Stelvios are generously equipped, including a number of the most up-to-date active safety technologies, as well since the DNA driving mode selector as well as an 8.8-inch touchscreen multimedia system. Engine choice comprises 1 petrol and something diesel, or 4-cylinder turbocharged units easily obtainable and 2 outputs. An 8-speed automatic gearbox and Q4 all-wheel drive system come as standard. The 2.0-liter petrol produces 200 or 280 horsepower, as the 2.2-liter diesel produces 180 or 210 horsepower. Performance is undoubtedly brisk, with 0.62 miles per hour taking less than 5.7 seconds and top speed rated at as much as 143 miles per hour. Both represent attractive propositions, though most will probably choose the additional economy in the diesel on the extra performance in the petrol. Rapid Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Driven at the tip of 2017, Alfa Romeo announced the stove-topping Stelvio Quadrifoglio, powered from the same Ferri-drive turbocharged V6 since the Giulia Quadrifoglio. With 510 horsepower and 600 Nm of torque available, the Stelvio Quadrifoglio offers to be extremely quick. Provisional figures suggest a top speed of 176 miles per hour as well as a 0.62 miles per hour period of just 3.8 seconds. The Quadrifoglio arrives in British showrooms from summer 2018. We've had an early on-drive, which enabled it to confirm it's probably the fastest SUV on discount sales right now. It's not perfect, especially considering your buck, which we're looking to approach £75,000. However, it's every bit as good to operate a vehicle as any rival, even impressive Porsche Macan Turbo. Alfa Romeo Stelvio should be among the prettiest SUVs. While you wouldn't necessarily equate an auto of these ungainly proportions with decent looks, Alfa's design department did what it does best. Along with the result is a piece of equipment that looks, well, not half bad. It's certainly up there from the aesthetic arena, using the Porsche Macan and Renault's Kadjar, 2 cars we'd say include the better looking on the SUVs on discount sales. What's within a name? Ensuring which it handles the corners as well, because straights, Alfa Romeo has considering the Stelvio particularly sharp steering, far sharper than every other SUV, and also a sophisticated Alpha-Link suspension design. Both aspects are similar towards the Giulia, but redeveloped with the extra mass and increased ride-height connected with an SUV. The results are impressive, because the Stelvio does a fantastic job of resisting body roll. But the firmness required to achieve this does come for the cost of some ride comfort. The verdict: you should think about choosing a Stelvio over the Jaguar F-Pace, although perhaps not spanning a Porsche Macan. The Stelvio's driving experience is a useful one, but doesn't quite get beneath your skin from the same way. The Alfa Romeo is much more practical versus the Porsche, however. Interior quality isn't quite up together with the best inside class, and a lot competitors give you a greater amount of high-tech options. But you will find the design in and out attractive enough to forgive this. It's an incredibly likable vehicle overall, with distinctive character and a lot of performance. Limited choice but powerful engines. Astonishing quadrifoglio performance doesn't sound as exciting as a possible Alfa should in SUV terms. The Stelvio certainly places a top priority on performance. There may only be some engines from which to choose, but all pack an abundance of punch. 280 horsepower petrol. The main petrol choices are a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine who makes 280 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque pulling power. The raw performance figures are 0-62 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds and 143 miles per hour flat out, and it also is certainly keen to begin with on the road, helped by an impressively low on an SUV curb weight of a single 660 kilograms. The 8-speed automatic, precisely the same ZF transmission utilized by a variety of other car makers, including BMW and Jaguar, provides snappy manual changes but in addition works intuitively when left to its own devices. That said, the petrol doesn't sound especially inspiring, also it lacks the high revving zing you may expect from the sporty Alfa Romeo engine. So it's fast, however, not especially soulful. It remains the engine we will choose if running costs were no object. 200 horsepower petrol. A short drive using this type of engine showed it's even less interesting versus the 280 horsepower, and that is technologically identical however with a higher state of tune. Torque drops to 330 Nm and thus you can expect a slower 0-62 miles per hour duration of 7.2 seconds as well as a 133 miles per hour top speed. 210 horsepower diesel. The 210 horsepower 2.2-liter diesel does 0-62 miles per hour in 6.6 seconds and possesses a 133 miles per hour top speed. Despite this, and 470 Nm of torque, we thought it felt just a little slow. This probably wasn't helped from the high-altitude Alpine test route, so we'll update this impression after we've driven it inside the UK. At 1,659 kilograms it weighs almost exactly the same since the petrol, and produces its performance smoothly enough. But it also sounds very thin and reedy, which becomes quite grating after some time, especially as there's more engine noise inside than you could expect from an automobile of this class. 180 horsepower diesel. The lower-powered diesel option can be obtained with rear-wheel drive only, obtaining the lowest possible running costs, or all-wheel drive as while using rest on the lineup. It generates 450 Nm at 1,750 revolutions per minute, so only slightly less versus the high-powered version. We've driven this motor, which provides coverage for 0-62 miles per hour in 7.6 seconds using a top speed of 130 miles per hour. Of course, if you have to have a diesel, this could be the one we'd pick. It doesn't suffer together with the lower power output given it still has adequate torque to accelerate rapidly, and can overtake about the motorway without difficulty. As together with the 210 horsepower motor, it's just a little noisy when pushed hard, but this can be far more noticeable outside of the car compared to inside. Rapid Stelvio Quadrifoglio. If performance can be your priority when purchasing an SUV, you won't find another on discount sales in the UK quicker compared to the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Powered with the Giulia QF's 510 horsepower V6 and automatic gearbox and taking advantage of a standard four-wheel drive system to supply every one of those horses for the ground without fuss, the latest Stelvio storms to 62 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds. That's 0.6 seconds faster than the easiest Porsche Macan, the 440 horsepower turbo performance pack. The engine masks its turbo lag, the delay in power delivery experienced on older turbocharged vehicles quite nicely, and while it doesn't sound that exciting at low revs or perhaps in normal driving where it could possibly switch off, unnoticed, 3 cylinders to chop fuel consumption by 10%, it changes character dramatically when you begin working your path around the rev counter. Alfa Romeo's DNA drive mode control. Both the gearbox as well as the engine response might be fine-tuned with a certain degree with the DNA driving mode control, that provides a collection of dynamic sporty, natural and advanced efficiency, slower but better on fuel settings. These are adjusted with all the rotary controller situated behind the apparatus lever. Sharp steering, flat cornering, keen responses. Alfa Romeo throws around a lot of complex terminology, such as semi-virtual steering axis and patented 4.5-link rear suspension, when describing the Stelvio's chassis design. All you should know is that on an SUV it stays remarkably flat when tackling even very tight corners. In fact, Alfa Romeo reckons it not just outperforms its direct rivals normally made available, but how the Stelvio rolls a lot less than some competitors' saloon cars. Certainly its effectiveness against lean is extremely impressive, and together with this super sharp steering, that is most definitely quicker than any alternative SUV, it is possible to cut quite the dash along a mountain road. Quick but muted, the steering just isn't especially communicative, however, as though holding you at slight remove. This means the Stelvio doesn't feel quite as involving to push as some rivals, notably the Porsche Macan. Similarly, as you move, the Q4 four-wheel drive technique is heavily rear-biased, only engaging the top wheels when asked. It's much less dynamic since the Porsche system. The optional rear limited slip differential may improve this, but we're yet to utilize it. The steering weighting changes not just together with the DNA driving mode selector, but in addition the speed you're traveling. We found this well judged, creating little cause of complaint. Of the two, the petrol will be the keener to improve direction. Not which the diesel is any slouch normally made available. Easy they are driving for all of that. This sounds quite aggressive rolling around in its appeal to keen drivers. The Stelvio remains an easy car to operate a vehicle. With good visibility and extremely light steering at low speeds, it really is straightforward to maneuver out. Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio handling. Unlike the tail-uppy rear-drive Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Stelvio Quadrifoglio comes exclusively that has a four-wheel drive transmission. But unlike many SUVs, this blog operates as being a rear-wheel drive car until slip is detected, when it might send around 50% on the engine's torque for the front wheels. Combine that having a torque vectoring rear differential and Alfa's now familiar hyper-quick steering, and also you have an automobile that's a great deal more agile than you'd expect an SUV to get. Fortunately, that keenness to vary direction is supported by solid body control, though outright grip is leaner than within the Giulia QF because on the extra weight and Alfa's decision to match the Stelvio with regular Pirelli P0 tires rather compared to the much stickier P0 courses that feature its saloon sister. Cabin quality not around premium rivals design is apparent and easy to utilize. Though gorgeous aluminum paddle shifters at first glance, the Stelvio's interior looks rather alluring. There's what appears for being a large wide-screen display for that infotainment from the center and many interesting various aluminum and wood trim rogues not to everyone's taste, yet still get closer, however, and also the quality sadly seems more supermany than premium exec, if at the very least on par with all the Jaguar F-Pace. So you realize the limited quantity of button clutter is because doing so doesn't ever have that many toys. Plus the screen isn't the size of it seems, as there's a sizable bezel on either side in the square display area. You really notice where Alfa has lower your expenses when you touch the massive air vents on either side from the dash. They're made out of very flimsy feeling plastic that feels like it'll enter short order. Still, the rotary controller definitely makes the infotainment system simple to navigate, plus the menu strategy is easy to understand. Shame the gloss top on the controller is really a magnet for fingerprints, plus the rotating mechanism doesn't feel as premium as rival equivalents from BMW and Audi. The uncovered, but illuminated, USB port positioned off-center inside middle console seems haphazard at the same time. On a much more positive note, the vast, column-mounted paddle shifters to the automatic transmission are gorgeous components of aluminum art, making an Alwachi-grade gearbox a pleasure to work with. Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio interior. Here's the spot that the Stelvio QF begins to stumble against similarly priced rivals. The dashboard design is handsome enough, plus the huge metal gearshift paddles mounted driving look and feel fabulous. But other materials fall below the standard set by its rivals. The 8-speed automatic's gear selector seems as if a BMW one but feels less costly. Same for that infotainment control wheel, even though the media system includes a disappointingly low resolution screen, where there are no trick options like Audi's virtual cockpit instrument pack. This might all be forgivable for the low end from the Stelvio range, nonetheless it's harder to overlook on the £70k plus car. Firm suspension diesel comfort is best. Nevertheless its refinement could possibly be better. This is the place you start to spend the money for price for your keen cornering capability. To keep an enormous, tall car just like the Stelvio upright within the turns you need firm suspension, and also this does have an effect on ride comfort. Diesel can it better driving on launch in Italy. The diesel we drove felt impressively well damped to start with, especially considering it was fitted with larger 19-inch alloy wheels. 17-inch and 18-inch are standard, determined by trim level. However, on less pristine surfaces it started exhibit a jiggling sensation that, when not actually uncomfortable, certainly veered strongly towards annoying. And we fear that such surfaces are similar towards the kind you get much more commonly inside the UK. By comparison, the petrol, also on 19-inch wheels, immediately felt firmer, more uncompromising, and much more unsettled with the back. The petrol is dynamically superior on the diesel, which means this makes some sense. But it will probably be less comfortable within the UK. Noisy. Alwachi mentioned the engines aren't particularly nice sounding within the performance section, and that you'll be able to hear somewhat too much on the diesel for the premium car. Both the Stelvios we've tested up to now have also suffered for just a high penetration of wind noise, seemingly brought on by poor seals throughout the windows. Road noise is well suppressed, though, even for the optional 19-inch alloy wheels. Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio Comfort. The QF standard, heavily bolstered seats give a great mix of comfort and support, but deep pockets can opt for that Giulia sexy carbon-backed bucket seats. Be warned though, they search fantastic but they are far less comfortable on longer trips. Adaptive dampers are standard as well as the mode could be selected independently in the 4 Eco, Normal, Dynamic, Race driving modes. Switch the dampers to stiff mode and also the otherwise good ride comfort deteriorates markedly. For well-equipped trim levels, fleet trim to adhere to disappointingly Sedan isn't standard on base spec. Personalization includes luxury and sport packs. The Stelvio will come in 4 standard trim specifications: plain Stelvio, Super, Specially plus the Milano ed Easy Only Launch Edition. A buzziness-focused Technica trim is determined to follow in 2018. Standard Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV equipment. Base spec Stelvios feature 17-inch alloy wheels, Alpha Connect infotainment with 8.8-inch touchscreen, tab radio, Bluetooth, USB connection, a DNA driving mode selector, 8-speaker audio, height adjustable front seats, electric tailgate, automatic lights and wipers, cruise control, climate control, rear parking sensors. A volume of the safety merchandise is also included, but we'll cover those from the safety section. Upgrade for the Stelvio Super, and that is expected to be the most beneficial seller, so you get these additional items: 18-inch alloy wheels, 3D Sedan with European mapping, front parking sensors, partial leather seats in a number of 3 color finishes, the same 3 color choices to the dashboard and door panels, steel door sill inserts moving as much as Stelvio specially nets you, 19-inch alloys, big xenon headlights, aluminium interior trim, heated leather front seats with power adjustment, heated tire and washer nozzles, power folding mirrors, red brake calipers. Then on the top with the range, the Stelvio Milano ed Easy only gets 20-inch alloys, 10-speaker sound system, keyless entry, reversing camera, rear privacy glass, full leather sports seats. And if you want the most up-to-date gadgets, for example wireless charging and in-car Wi-Fi, forget it. What regarding the Stelvio Technica? Consciously created for business users, including fleet customers, the Technica is born to arrive in 2018 and comes while using following extras: Alpha Connect, 3D Sedan of electric folding door mirrors, big xenon headlights, optional Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV extras. Full UK specification is yet to become confirmed, but we can easily tell you there are 2 audio upgrades available, one with 10 speakers, one other with 14, while Stelvio Super buyers can opt to get a luxury pack or sport pack. Luxury adds heated full leather seats with electric adjustment at leading, plus real wood trim inserts. Sport includes a heated steering wheel having a racier design, plus electric, heated sports seats in a number of 3 leather finishes, aluminium trim inserts and steel pedals. A variety of Moper branded accessories can be found, as well as a variety of alloy wheel choices nearly 20 inches in diameter. There's another performance pack offering an exclusive limited slip differential and active dampers for enthusiastic drivers to savor. Lots of active safety as standard. 5-star Euro NCAP rating, stops from 62 miles per hour and 37.5 meters. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV was awarded a 5-star Euro NCAP rating when tested in 2017 automobile range of safety measures. In addition, for the usual electronic stability control system and 6 airbags, for instance, forward collision warning and autonomous emergency brake with pedestrian detection, efficient at bringing the Stelvio to your complete halt, works as much as 40 miles per hour. Lane departure warning, only delivers visual and audible warnings, cannot steer the Stelvio back to lane. Blind spot monitoring, rear cross path detection, active cruise control. These systems use a selection of sensors, including cameras and radar. Upon testing the adaptive cruise control, we were slightly disappointed to note which the system still did not pick up some motorcyclists facing us, prompting avoiding action. On top of all of that safety kit, the Stelvio comes with an integrated brake system, IBS, no, really a standard, which combines the high-tech stability electronics which has a conventional brake servo. This has been said to reduce weight, improve brake feel and deliver faster braking response, meaning shorter braking distances. It's the first in this segment from the SUV market, so he found it did wonders, though those which has a more sensitive braking foot might take issue while using claim of improved feel. Seating for 5 in comfort. Biggest boot at college replaces Giulia estate. The higher seating position makes entering and out easier than within the Giulia, just as being the higher roofline means there's more headroom inside the rear, though still not an overly generous amount. Both vehicles have identical distances between leading and rear axles. The Stelvio has quite small rear windows, which doesn't help when parking. This is mitigated somewhat from the fitment of acoustic parking sensors across the number, with a lot more help from the spine view camera accessible in top-spec cars only. Alfa Romeo has confirmed it doesn't build an estate version in the Giulia saloon, saying the Stelvio offers the many practicality such customers would require. Largely, we're inclined to believe them. Even so, the Stelvio is really a roomy choice in contrast to most SUV rivals. This extends towards the 525-liter boot, which could be the biggest at school. All versions in the Stelvio receive an electric tailgate, too, which may be set to spread out to 8 different positions while using onboard computer, so you'll never have to stress about not being able to attain the button to seal it. With a corner seat's folded luggage space increases to a single 600 liters.